Hey guys! I'm really excited because Nandita is a really dear friend, and I totally love watching all of the stuff that she talks about, kitchen garden, how to grow plants, kitchen hacks that she shares. Her pictures just look out of the world. So, for everyone who is into vegetarian food, loves cooking, and has been following either Nandita or us, you know that we are obsessed with everything food.
Hi.
Hey, Nandita, first up, I love how you've done up your house. Like every corner is Instagram worthy. I don't know how. You've got great taste.
Thank you. Thank you.
The reason why we're here today is to understand how to thrive your kitchen garden and a couple of food hacks. So Nandita, any hacks that you've got over the last 60, 70 days which has worked for you, or you've discovered, you've shared with your community, which is kind of
Okay.
easy for
Uh,
people?
there's one post which I've also written on my blog, not during this time, but earlier. That everyone, when you say kitchen garden, you think day one you'll be growing big things and fruiting vegetables, which essentially means things like bindi and bengan and pumpkin. All these are called fruits, even though they're vegetables. So fruiting plants. But actually, you can just start off with leaves, which is the first thing that grows, and it's the easiest thing to use up in salads and stuff. And again, the misconception that you need some fancy salad greens only. It's not that, because you can literally use anything green in your salad as long as you know it's edible and it's not poisonous. You
Right.
can add it to your salad. So just recently, the seed shops and all these gardening websites and all have opened up, because until then you were not getting delivery of anything literally. So a lot of seeds in the kitchen itself, things like methi, mustard, and uh, dried peas, the vatana which you have green and white. All these, and even a lot of beans, you can just soak it and sprout it, and then put it in a thin tray of soil. You usually end up having a lot of these plastic knick-knack
Yeah.
tubs and ice cream boxes and literally anything. But only you need access to some medium like a cocoa peat or soil, without which it's difficult. But as long as you have that, you can actually use whatever you know uh, old containers. Instead of throwing it away in the plastic waste, you can use it for this. And these also make very good things for microgreens, because for that you literally need only a like shallow tray. 1 inch of soil is enough. So they really help, and you can use whatever seeds you have in your kitchen, because all those are edible, and whatever grows out of that is also going to be edible. You don't have to worry. So
Right.
just soak, sprout, and spread it on a thin layer of either just cocoa peat or just soil. And just keep snipping. Once you get like 2 or 3 leaves, you can snip the top and it will keep growing again. So you can literally grow these and add to your own salads and stuff. So this is the most basic thing you can do. Then again, things like celery, lemongrass, spring onion, coriander, all these things which come with the root, you can always keep it in water, and they do grow a bit in water itself. Even celery, you'll get a few extra leaves in the water. So you can actually do that. It's great that we're talking all this on World Environment Day, which is very
Yes.
topical. Uh, it always helps, even if you can grow a little bit of anything. It's great. Don't again think. I have lived in Bombay all my life, so I know that even growing few pots in your balcony is amazing. Sitting in Bangalore, it's easier to grow more things. It's given the weather also, and also more space. But even if you're in an apartment and you have like a grill, extended grill from your kitchen or your living room, you can keep a few pots there depending on the sunlight availability, of course, and start these small things, even chilies and stuff. Imagine, and people often think that this pudina and chilies, it's just 5-10 rupees, so why bother growing? But just that one thing is all it takes to add so much flavor to your dish, because it's just pluck and you just even a few leaves of something you add from your pot is going to make your food so much more flavorful because it's the final layer of garnish that you're adding.
No, absolutely. I think what you said is very critical because I've been growing the chilies and guys, it's not high maintenance. If I can do it, I think anybody can do it. And now my kids are doing it, so I've outsourced it to them. But that joy of plucking that chili and holding them in your hands is just something else. So I agree with Nandita when she says कि just because you feel like अच्छा 5-10 रुपए का है तो why bother? But I'm telling you that joy is infectious. And
Actually, the funny thing I like to say is that when you've grown your own coriander and chili, you will never ask the bajiwala to give you that for free because you know the value. You know the value and how much effort goes into it, you know.
I love that. That is so true. But Nandita, tell me something. When you say that take these beans, soak them overnight, and then pot them next day.
Not overnight. Yeah, you can soak them overnight, and then like how you sprout moong and stuff.
Yeah,
you can sprout them for 2-3 days. And once you see the tiny sprouts,
Shoots
or you
coming
can directly do it from sowing. Once it's become a bit soft, you can directly do it. But sprouting just gives it a bit of added advantage to.
Right, but then will they grow as tall as the microgreens or they'll grow taller?
Which ones are you talking about?
For example, if I was to take choli beans, right? Because you have choli ka bhaji.
So it depends on how you choose to cut it. So if you cut it when it's this big and you sow a thin layer like a carpet, then you grow it like microgreens. But if you're going to let it come to this and then you transplant it into a pot, just one of it, then it will grow into a big plant. There are a lot of resources on YouTube also where people are growing all these things in pots, not even on a garden soil kind of thing. Everything is grown in pots and almost anything. I mean, depends on the pot size, of course. Things like papaya and all, you need a 2 feet tall pot. But even papaya, and a lot of people use these paint drums, you know, the plastic paint drums. You can just paint it a nice white color or blue color or something and use those drums to grow these, like those blue colored small water drums which you see. All those can be, in fact, even where I live here, in my back gate, there are a lot of small shops. And there's one tiny, I think, hair salon or something. And that guy has taken every possible paint container and he's grown like one urban garden outside. In this much footpath, he has grown like that much of stuff. So I'm always inspired when I see that literally you can catch hold of anything and grow in that.
Right. So, tell me from the herbs point of view, right? Basil, celery, all of these. So like basil, do you think the quality of the seed and all that will matter, or how do you start with like the
seeds? Usually, seeds. There are some good ones on Amazon itself. Basic companies like Kraft, KRAFT, then Omax, OMAXE. So these are all good quality seeds. And I think sometimes what the mistake we do is we dump all the seeds directly in soil, and sometimes it's too hot or you overwater and they can't survive in that kind of thing. So there's something called paper germination where you just take a plate and you put like 2 layers of tissue paper on it, keep it wet, add some water so that the paper becomes wet but not so wet that it tears apart, and then you put, like, you consciously keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds in like different corners of the plate, and you keep it covered with another plate, or cling wrap is plastic, avoid. So try and keep it covered with another, like the cooking utensils that come with the lid. So keep it covered with that, with a glass thing. So what this builds a slightly higher temperature and humidity inside that plate. So each of these basil seeds, you will see that they have this tiny green sprout coming out in 3-4 days, which is if they are of good quality and they have a good germination rate. So then you take a smaller cup, like an ice cream cup or something, fill it up with soil, and that slightly small germinated thing, you put it in that. So go stage wise. So now in that, you allow it to come for 6 leaves, 8 leaves to like 4 inches height, and then you can transplant it into a bigger pot. What happens is when you directly put the seeds in the pot, because to germinate they don't need soil, it just needs water.
Okay.
So that you can do it on the plate itself. So by this method you can actually see how much is germinating, how much is not germinating. So you're not putting so many in the pot and waiting that I put 20 seeds, but sometimes nothing may germinate because the seeds were not good to start with, right? So try this method of this paper, then small cup, and then transplanting them to a bigger pot. They definitely have a better success rate that way. And all these branded seeds are usually good because they test for germination and
Right. And also when I have the basil growing, I usually what I typically do is the seeds part of it, the flower which you get of the basil, you typically
Yeah.
take that, and if you just do that and you sow
Yeah.
them back, do you just put that back in the pot, or again you do the
Yeah,
paper germination?
you can because you are, or you can again go back to that other method, or
Yeah.
you can do this. But that whatever seeds, they have to be like literally brown and dried out. It should be that really dried out husks of the flowers. Otherwise, if it's still green in color, then that seed is not going to germinate.
Right, right.
But you
Also,
can this method, plate to cup and then to the pot, is like a more systematic method, and you can each stage you can actually see what is happening instead of directly throwing it in the pot,
yeah.
which is crazy. It doesn't, even for me, it hardly works. It just gets lost. Sometimes overwatering it flows away in the water. So many things can go wrong there.
Right. Also, Nandita, any tips on where do you get your soil from, or any bit on that, or any difference between cocoa peat and soil?
Yeah, so cocoa peat, there is no either or. So cocoa peat is usually added to soil to lighten the weight.
Yeah.
And it holds water, so you have to, it doesn't need that frequent watering. So what happens if you just take soil and you put it and your pot has holes, everything will go out in a day or so. But when you have cocoa peat, it retains water. So it's like typically made from the coconut husk leftover of those fibers and all. So it holds water. You have to water it less. So that's one thing. It makes it the medium lighter because just soil. If I take a 12-inch pot of only soil, it's going to be very heavy. But if I mix it half cocoa peat, it will be 50% lighter. So those are the things, and a good mix. Some plants have different requirements, but most of the times, a generally good mix is one third, one third, one third of garden soil, cocoa peat, and compost. So if you mix this in a big pot and add it to all your pots, it's a good medium. And even compost and everything, sometimes even I order on Amazon because it's just easier. And there are a lot of good brands these days. So like literally, if I have I sometimes think, where am I going to buy? Should I get out? And after searching everywhere, I see that it's available on Amazon itself. So
Right.
there's nothing wrong. It's just a lot of good brands are selling online. And
Right.
even compost, like a lot of companies are selling good quality compost. So until you start making your own, which even I have, because we have a centralized composting unit in our community, so I don't make my own compost. But you can always buy, and you can use that in your plants. So that's the best
Awesome.
manure, organic manure you can give your plants.